Chloe Styler was a Star Maker Grand Finalist in 2020, not long after she released her first single, Patient Heart. She has now released an EP called Side A, and we're going to talk about it. Hi, Chloe.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I've had a lovely time listening to the EP, which contains 2 acoustic versions of 2 of the tracks that are on it. So it's like bonus tracks on the EP. So how long have you been working on Side A?
It has been honestly 4 or 5 years in the making, if we're also including the writing process. So Where We Stand, which is track number 5, was written in 2017.
Right.
And then we started recording in 2020 and it got mastered in January 2021. And then we just sat with it because we all know what happened. So I didn't want to rush it. I didn't know what to do with it. And I'm glad it's finally out because it has been a while.
Yeah, it's a big decision, I would imagine, for you as an artist to have invested all that time and money, because you're an independent artist, and knowing that what you had, and also, I guess, moving on with your life and wanting to create new songs. So were there times when frustration threatened to get the better of you?
Yeah, this year has been really hard, harder than 2020 for me, because coming out of the situation that we were all in and finally having an kind of an open playing field, it was really hard to get gigs. It was really difficult to find motivation. It was really difficult to have self-confidence. I really struggled this year, and I'm not afraid to say it. It was really hard, but from about August onwards, I've started slowly feeling better and feeling more confident in what I was doing, and I felt finally confident enough to release the EP. I had already been teasing singles, so Consider Me Gone was released a whole year ago, which is track 1 on the EP, but I just didn't know when to release the EP or if I was even going to release it.
Right.
So yeah, I'm glad I finally got there because I know that it's a great body of work. I'm so proud of it, and to have it out on Spotify and Apple Music as an EP is just great.
Yeah, I'm glad you got there as well, because it is a great body of work. When you talked about your self-confidence, was that because you weren't performing, so you felt like you couldn't play, you didn't want to play gigs in support of the EP if you put it out?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. I didn't have any gigs booked. I lost a sense of direction as well. So not having gigs for so long and not having specific things to look forward to and plan for, it then lost the future of that. So then I didn't have direction. And I just many mental breakdowns later and crying to my family, and just having a support network was really helpful. And I distribute through MGM distribution, and they were really great sounding boards. And I just needed advice. I just needed guidance, I suppose, and I got there.
Yeah, and I guess part of what someone who doesn't perform music wouldn't realize is that it's very difficult to go from nothing to a performance level where you can support an EP. So when you're performing a lot of gigs, there's a bit of momentum. You may not need to rehearse that often because you're playing a lot of gigs, and then with even though you're in Queensland, things were difficult there as well. It wasn't like it was some paradise of live music that the rest of the country didn't have.
It was definitely, we were very fortunate in Queensland. But yeah, it was very hit or miss. You could have a gig booked and it could be cancelled, just pulled out from underneath you. So not having that stability was really difficult. And then this year there was gigs, and then it was almost like, did you want to trust it? Did you want to believe that those gigs were going to happen? I got to play Suncorp Stadium earlier this year with my band. We played the pre-game entertainment for a Broncos game, and it was incredible. But the whole week leading up to it, I wasn't even nervous for the gig. I was more nervous that it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And that was what I was like fighting against, the fact that, is this even really going to happen? Like, what an incredible opportunity for me. I really hope it happens. Like, that's all that was going through my head. It happened, and it was amazing, and it was just like the best thing ever. And yeah, but that's, I suppose we're probably all in the same boat. We're all hopefully feeling better about that now because we have a bit more stability, but those first few months were really quite strange.
Yeah, at the time we're speaking, it's not long after the Taylor Swift ticket debacle in the United States, and there's been a lot of stuff coming out about how this is partly because everyone's been starved of live music. There was a great demand to see anyone live, but also just the systems are really, really rusty. And I think that's partly what you're describing, is that not being able to trust that it would happen. I don't know that that will go away for artists for a while.
I don't think so. I've been seeing a lot of stuff online, artists way more established than I, who have had a really long-standing career in the Australian music industry, are even expressing concern about it, and that they just can't afford to tour. They have to cancel their tour because they cannot afford even like the flights or something like that. And things are just really difficult. So that will be really interesting to see how we all navigate that over the next, I suppose, 12 months or more.
Yeah, because the paradox, of course, is that people rely on music to make them feel better about everything. We love entertainment. Music is a reprieve and a release and all sorts of things. But we'll go back to talking about your music. So at what point did you decide that you'd release the EP now?
I think it was around about August, September. Okay. Yeah, I got in touch with my graphic designer and I was like, hey, I think I might be releasing an EP. Maybe just whip something up just in case. And then, then MGM were on board, and I'm stoked, finally stoked, because it's just started the process. I have a lot more to come.
Yeah, because the songs are really thoughtful and quite deep in some ways, but they're also upbeat in their musical tone. So I guess at this time of year in Australia, spring, summer, it is a really good time to release it.
Yeah, thank you. I was a bit nervous about November because there's all the Christmas releases as well. But honestly, I didn't really have another option because I didn't get my act together quick enough.
So there's a side A. I'm presuming there is a side B as well.
You would be presuming right. There is a side B. It will be coming out next year. I don't know exactly when, but I can definitely guarantee it'll just be a process of getting some singles out first, and then the EP probably mid-late next year.
And is it side A and side B because you are a fan of vinyl?
Yes, it is, because I would really like to make merchandise and do a side A, side B vinyl and call it like a double EP or whatever to call it. But that is the plan, is to print it on vinyl.
Yeah. And so just out of curiosity, would you include the 2 acoustic versions on the vinyl, or are they just bonus extras for people listening online?
Oh, you are putting me on the spot. I actually haven't even thought about that. My marketing brain should be all over that, but I probably would leave them as just a little bonus online.
Yeah, because it makes for a 7-track EP, but 5 tracks is good for a vinyl side A. But you worked with producer Andy Mack for this. Now, Andy has produced the McClymonts amongst other artists. So how did you come to choose him as your producer?
It was quite easy, really. He is also Vera Blue's producer, and I'm a very big fan of her style and her music. And she released a song called All the Pretty Girls, and that's hands down one of my favorite songs in the whole world of all time. And I went to the songwriting credits, found his name, and was like, well, obviously I have to work with him. And I just contacted him, and voila. Well, we started talking in about January 2020, and that didn't last very long. And then, we had plans to start around March, April, I think it was. And we had to put that on pause, but we did end up recording in July of 2020. I went down to the Central Coast when the borders reopened, and we tracked at the Grove Studios. So that was really amazing. We did it with a live band, and I had some amazing musicians. So Andy played bass and piano, and I had Harry Day from the band Middle Kids on drums, and Sam Telford, who is an incredible songwriter, he was on guitars. So yeah, it was just a very collaborative process and almost just a no-brainer. Like, I had to work with Andy. My brain was just like, that's the only option. And I'm so glad I did, because he just completely understood my sound and where I wanted to go with the music.
And it is an advantage of being an independent artist that you can make those choices. And I think that part of what's so interesting about Australian music at the moment, particularly in country and adjacent genres, is that artists are choosing their producers, and the music that's resulting is something that the artists feel that they've been consulted on, that they've collaborated with the producer to make, and that's just a better overall result.
Yeah, I felt really respected and heard throughout the whole process. So if I had any mixed notes or I don't really like that instrument or something, I totally felt heard, which is just a really nice feeling in a room full of experts and, like people that do it for a living. Just to put my little voice in there, it was nice.
Well, and as the creator, you should have your voice in there.
Oh, well, I totally agree. But, you know, there's people that don't. And
Uh,
as an independent artist, I do have that luxury of doing those things and putting my foot forward and saying, oh, I don't know about that. But I mean, there was really nothing I didn't know about. It was all amazing. And I'm so happy with it.
Now, the EP was partially funded by the City of Gold Coast and Arts Queensland through the Regional Arts Development Fund. And sometimes I think artists aren't often aware that these sorts of funds exist or these grants exist. So how did you find out about this one?
I am the biggest advocate of funding, and the Regional Arts Development Fund, especially because it's for regional areas. So although people may not realize, the Gold Coast is classified as regional. So we have the ability of applying for Regional Arts Development Fund through different streams. So we have Activate Music, Activate Arts, and small grants. And this was through Activate Arts, which is just an incredible initiative through the City of Gold Coast and Arts Queensland, to support us, to help us get our projects underway. This honestly would not have happened without them, because I just couldn't afford it as an independent artist. And they just cheer on all the Gold Coast artists, and they try their best to support all of us in any capacity. So I found out about it through word of mouth, and I can still remember COVID had started and the world had gone to sleep. And I was sitting on the couch at my mum and dad's house when I still lived there. And I was so like in despair, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this album now. I have no income coming in. I'm EP, and I just can't do it. And then I got an email and I read it and had been granted the grant. And I just burst into tears. It was just I've got goosebumps telling you this story, because it was just the most incredible moment for me as an independent artist to have that support from my town, from my home that I grew up in. So yeah, I'm the biggest advocate. If anybody is in a regional area, look up Regional Arts Development Fund. It's the best.
Yeah, I think pretty much all the states and territories would have
Yeah.
this. So it's just not necessarily well communicated, which is partly why I wanted to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I will talk about it any day.
Now, the songs on the EP are partly about heartbreak, but they're also clearly about you stating who you are and what's important to you, which I thought was a really great angle to take on the lyrics, because it was making boundaries clear. It was all the sorts of things that I think young people should do, and older people as well, when we haven't done it earlier in our lives. But I'm wondering if the songwriting process actually helped you sort out some of that.
Well, thank you. That's really nice. I like to hear people's thoughts and interpretations of the lyrics. Definitely songwriting helps me process all of my thoughts, and it's sort of like therapy for me. I did go through a breakup at the end of 2019, and that really helped write some of the songs. So Consider Me Gone, Loving You, pretty much all of them were all about it. And no ill feeling toward that guy. It's just my way of coping, and definitely recommend it for anybody that hasn't tried, because songwriting is very therapeutic.
Yeah. Well, it was, yeah, as I said, the angle was interesting because it wasn't the, oh, woe is me, you know, I'm heartbroken, this has happened, boohoo, yeah, regret and longing. There was a bit of regret in there, but not so much longing. And I did think it was interesting that it was a clear statement of, no, this is what I want. Yeah. And that was not it. And so for you as an adult going forward, you've set that up for yourself. And I think it's really valuable for other people to hear it.
Thank you. I think you may also be referring to Girlfriend, because I have set those boundaries in Girlfriend, and I wrote that with Sarah Buckley from the Buckleys. And honestly, I had been single for a few months, and I was like, this is just not it. I don't enjoy guys my age. Not fun, because you know they have very strange ideas of what a girl may want. And after Zooming with Sarah and writing the song and setting those boundaries in a song, I actually then set them in my life, and it actually turned into how I live my life. And even in terms of just relationships with other people, not necessarily intimate relationships with a partner, it's just, no, you should have your self-worth, and you should know what you do and don't like, and stick with it. And it's hard, you know, setting boundaries is a bit odd. You don't often do it, but listen to Girlfriend and maybe it'll help you.
I thought that was a bit of it, and Consider Me Gone as well. It was basically like, you're pushing me this far, and then
I can't have it anymore. Thank you.
Yeah. So when did you start writing songs, all, you know, in total in your life? When did you start?
When I was 15. I picked up a guitar at 13, and I self-taught myself thanks to YouTube. And that was around the same time that Taylor Swift's Speak Now album came out. I just adore that whole record. I adore her so much. And I just think she's the most phenomenal songwriter. And yeah, I think it was about 15. I started trying my hand at songwriting. I will not be showing anybody those first songs. They were not good, but that's not the point. You got to write 100 bad songs to get one good one. And I stuck with it. And I didn't really think I was going to be a musician, like trying to work in the industry, until probably 17 in year 12, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do after school. So I started studying music at university, and I didn't really actually vibe that. I felt like I could do something else with my time, and also then chase music with more of my time, if that makes sense. So I did journalism and business at university, and business has helped me because my major was marketing, but all along I've always stuck with my music, and it's always come back to my music and songwriting. And literally at the heart of it, I'm a songwriter. I like to just tell stories and connect with people through songs. So if I can, I will.
Did studying journalism have any detrimental effects on your songwriting? In that it was trying to teach you to write in a certain way about certain things?
I've never been asked that question before. I don't think so. I don't know why I studied journalism. I should have studied creative writing because I was interested in becoming a publisher, and I studied journalism, which I can understand why I went down that route, but it just didn't help. I don't think so. And honestly, it's helped because I can write a press release, and I can do all of those things and help myself in that regard as a business owner, I suppose, and a musician. So it didn't stump my songwriting, but I don't know if it benefited my songwriting.
Sometimes it's, if you're taught to write in a certain way, make you start to think, oh, that's the way I should write, and sentence construction.
Totally understand what you're saying. Yeah, it could have, but I'm very lucky that it didn't.
Yeah, great. And now, as I mentioned at the top, you were in Star Maker Grand Final in 2020. What was that process like for you? Because it looks I was at the final this year in Tamworth, and I was like, wow, this is full on. You've got to perform twice, and you've already been through this process where they're interviewing you and asking you all these questions, because it's not for complete beginners. It's for artists who are at a certain point in their careers.
It is full on. Perfect wording. It's full on, but it's challenging in a really good way. So you get a lot of experience really quickly, and getting to play with that band, it's amazing. And on a stage like that, you don't often come by that as an artist still emerging. So I'm really thankful for that opportunity. I was also a finalist in 2018.
I did not read that in your bio.
Yes, surprise. I was also a finalist then. And I learned a lot. So doing it in 2018, I was very fresh, and I was still blonde, and I was a whole different person. And then doing it 2 years later, I felt I had a lot more confidence. And I do attribute that to 2018 Star Maker. And coming off the back of 2018, I got to play Denny Ute Master, Gimpy Master. I've lost thought now, Country on Keppel, Country Rocks. Like, I got to play a really cool list of festivals. And I honestly think that that's to do with Star Maker. So yeah, I'm really thankful for it. 2020 was another level. I had a lot more confidence on stage, but I was still so nervous. Like, I don't like competitions. I don't know why I entered it, because I don't do well with competitions, but I'm really proud of myself because I still did it. And I think that some of my fans are still ones who saw me perform at Star Maker. So yeah, it's an incredible opportunity.
And of course, there were no festivals you could have played after the 2021. But speaking of festivals, there's my segue. Tamworth is coming up. So do you have plans?
I will be coming to Tamworth. I'm so excited. I wasn't able to make the rescheduled dates this year. So I haven't been to Tamworth since 2020. And there's a few things I've got planned. I don't know if I can even say them because they haven't been announced. That sounds so silly, but I'm not sure if I can, so I won't. But I do have quite a few fun things planned. I used to do a crazy number of gigs, like 15 gigs. I don't know who told me that was a good idea. My brain did, but it wasn't smart. So I've capped it at 5 this year, which I'm really quite excited about, because then I can go and see my friends play and catch up with people I haven't seen in 3 years.
Yeah, and it'll be good for your voice as well.
Yes, definitely.
So in the meantime, people can listen to side A, and we will listen out for side B next year. Chloe, it's been so lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much.